You're with the Fight Guys. This is Peter Kahn. I'm with my partner, Brian Mazik. We're both Forbes contributors and obviously host the Fight Guys YouTube channel. And today we have a special guest with us, and coming off of a massive victory with Manny Pacquiao defeating Keith Thurman last Saturday, we have Sean Gibbons, the president of Manny Pacquiao Promotions. And to the viewers out there that don't know who Sean is, and you're wondering, wait, who's that guy that's always with Manny? Who's that guy that's behind him at the press conference? Who's that guy that's walking him to the ring? Sean Gibbons has been in the world of professional boxing for probably almost 30 years as a boxer, matchmaker, manager, promoter, and now the manager, or I should say the president of Manny Pacquiao Promotions, and has been playing a prominent role with Manny in recent time. So, Sean, thanks for joining me and Brian here.
Hey, thank you, Peter, for that nice introduction. If I need to hire a publicist or anything, you're my guy. Brian, great to be with you guys. I have to say, leading up to the fight, I read a lot of great articles, a lot of things through the Forbes, both the stories you guys contributed to, and really, really good pieces that made a lot of sense about the fight.
Appreciate it. So the reason we wanted to have you on today is because a little bit before the fight and then immediately after the fight, there's just been this topic that just seems to follow Manny wherever he goes, and it has to do with VADA and drug testing. So before I say anything, or before Brian and I get into anything, I kind of want you to address it as far as, you know, the drug testing before and after this particular fight, and in general, the protocol that Manny follows.
Yeah, so it's real simple. Earlier in the year, or at the end of last year, we signed up for the WBC VADA clean testing, 365, 24/7. You know, the Manny can be tested anytime, anywhere, because the first thing Manny wants everybody to know, he's probably the cleanest fighter I've ever been around. He's been tested more than anybody. You know, that I've worked with a lot of guys. So after we signed up for that, we were doing the fight January 19th with Adrian Broner. We signed up for VADA drug testing for that fight. It was administered, you know, numerous times, maybe 3, 4, 5 for the Broner fight. Everything was absolutely clean. Everything was clear. So leading up to the Thurman fight, we thought, you know, basically it's going to be the same type of drug testing, whoever administers it. We were had no problem. You know, we're already signed up. So we got the papers about 45 days out to sign up again for what we thought was VADA, what turned out to be the the Nevada State Athletic Commission using VADA. So either way you look at it, it's VADA administered. It's the same. Whoever picks up the sample, VADA goes to the same place, Nevada goes to the same place, the sample goes to the same place. So it don't matter who's doing it, if it's Nevada or VADA. But the difference was that VADA, it's kind of like an ego thing. Dr. Margaret Goodman, she wasn't in control of it. Like, I want to be the person that administers it. I got to control it. No, Nevada, the State Athletic Commission, who's in charge of the whole fight, they called and hired her. So what happened was she put out a press release, which was completely wrong, and started this whole hysterical thing about no VADA testing, which was a complete lie. And we're very upset with Dr. Goodman, why she would do this and try to tarnish Manny Pacquiao and Keith Thurman for anything other than being two of the cleanest fighters. Neither one's ever, you know, tested, you know, for anything. Neither one's ever been really, accused of anything. But she took it upon herself just because she wasn't doing it personally to put out a press release, which is absolutely absurd why she would do that.
And for context, Dr. Goodman was the longtime ringside physician for Nevada.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. Yes.
So let me ask you, is it fair to say, though, that Manny Pacquiao, considering that this was, I believe, his 24th world title fight, wouldn't that sort of lead us to believe he's like been the most drug-tested fighter of all time?
I would think so, because again, let alone fighting 24 world titles is unheard of in this game. I believe Hopkins did around 20, Triple G did around 20. Maybe there's some guys, Klitschko was up there with quite a few defenses. But yeah, he ranks in the top of fighters that have ever been drug tested. And the whole hysterical thing with drug testing started years ago with Floyd Mayweather Sr. Accusing with no basis at all. He got sued by Manny Pacquiao. He had to pay a confidential settlement to Manny Pacquiao for all of his nonsense about Manny being on something, Manny testing or something. And that's kind of where it started. And like I said, and then this Margaret thing just really fueled a fire in this day and age of social media, like something was going on. Because the moment someone does an article, nobody checks the facts anymore. They believe the Twitter, they believe the initial headline. There's no VADA testing, which was absurd because, again, any way you look at it, VADA was involved. But if someone's ego, someone's not getting paid, they do it a different way. What was her purpose, first of all? To bring out a statement that VADA is not testing, which it's a gray area because they are, but they aren't. Nevada hires them, pays them. The guy that showed up was 100%. I'm here for VADA. This is VADA testing. I have all the paperwork. I sat in the room when Manny was tested on numerous occasions. I filled everything out, all the vitamins. A guy announced again, VADA. So for her to, like I said, the moment she put that out, it just created a hysteria around the fight that took away from it a little bit. And we all had to play catch up. We all had to, the Nevada Commission had to come out with a statement. We had to come out with a statement. Everybody, all because for whatever reason, and if you ever get a chance, you should ask her, why did you have to go on record? What was the reason? Is it your ego? Why? There was nothing, because if she doesn't come up with that, Nevada goes on with their testing. And if anybody asks us their drug testing, we answer correctly. We answer with the truth. Yes, we were tested by Nevada, which used the services of VADA. So again, I'm not sure what Margaret's end game was, but she really tried to hurt, the whole fight. And Manny again, who's always been in that program. And the biggest thing, Brian and Peter, is if she wanted to, through the BC, they get asked for Manny today by VADA, by BC, to do a drug test a week from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now. He's available. So for them to make any, inclination that he's not clean or they weren't tested the right way, it's just absurd to me. And that's what we're here today for, is to clear his reputation again, that we shouldn't even have to have this conversation. But
right, because
people,
Sean,
agendas, that's
what I was going to say is, just because I also want to help the viewers understand, because a lot of people make assumptions about this. And what you were just referring to about the 24/7, 365 with VADA, specifically to the WBC clean boxing program, it's mandated within the WBC that if you want to remain rated in the top 15 world ratings and be eligible to fight for a world title, you must be enrolled in their clean boxing program, which is administered by VADA, which is administered by Dr. Goodman. So, there is no getting around it. So Manny was already enrolled.
Yeah, but I think it's a step farther, Peter. I don't think it's the top 15. I think they drop you completely out of their rankings. I believe. Now, you can check that for sure, but I believe they just take you out completely. You don't enroll in the WBC VADA program, you're not in the rankings at all.
So Sean, I have a question, and because you mentioned how this started back with Floyd Mayweather Sr. I think his comment was something about Pac-Man's on pellets or power pellets or something like that, and that stirred up a lot of stuff. There was other people, fighters going on record. Paulie Malignaggi said some stuff. Why do you think Pacquiao became this kind of a target? Like, because usually, whether it's founded or not, somebody comes up with these ideas some sort of way, founded or not. Why do you think he was ever a target of such a thing?
I think when you have such great success as you move up through your career from 112 to 122 to 26 to 30, and you're a freak of nature and you maintain a certain power base and you're knocking guys out, you're doing certain things that genetically you're gifted, you're blessed with, and you consider the source. It's Floyd Mayweather Sr. Come on, please. He's a little kooky himself. I love the guy. He's a friend. But just because he started saying it, the general public's like, well, they don't research anything. So with him saying it in the position he was in, people, like I said, if I put out some fake news, to quote a certain guy, if I put out some fake news, it's out there all of a sudden. And maybe people believe it, maybe they don't, but it's like when a verdict comes down and then you're exonerated 2 months later, well, the verdict's there. People still say, oh, he was guilty. No. On appeal or something. So by all the things that Mayweather Sr. started to put out, because of he just can't give Manny his credit that it's called hard work. It's called, good food, vitamins, faith, that he had that success because he's naturally gifted. And a lot of fighters around that time did, but Floyd Sr. started this also. So I think that's what happens. And then some people aren't educated right. They don't even bother to check on it. They're headline people, and that's why you end up where you ended up. So.
Yeah, I kind of liken it to an athlete in another sport. LeBron James is a freak of nature, right?
Yep.
And I hear a lot of people with really no evidence say that he's got to be on something. There's nobody that big, that strong, that fast, that can jump that high, and because they've never. So it's almost like society has it set up where if someone achieves beyond what is expected of them, then there must be something to it.
Yeah.
And
no, I agree.
Yeah, it seems like maybe that's where Manny is falling into. I am glad to see him, fight back in some ways, because, Manny does kind of take a lot of criticism without maybe pushing back sometimes. But it is good to see him kind of defend that. And I'm glad to hear you here to talk about some of these different situations.
Yeah. And the reason I'm here to talk about it, because we are transparent. There's nothing we won't talk about with his career, how he achieved it, how he got to different places. And I've seen it firsthand. I've been there every single day watching in the morning after the run, come to breakfast. I've had reporters there for Yahoo. I've had Kevin Iole. We've had Fox there, USA Today. It's about 8 vitamins, and I wrote them all down on the VADA, and a little honey he drinks with his tea. That's it. There's no special hyperbaric chambers. There's no special potions, other vitamins. It is plain and simple, man.
Sean, I'll take it a step further. I'll take it a step further. I mean, I manage a fighter, as you well know. You had him in camp who spent a lot of time around Manny on those morning runs, in the gym, sparring, at the house. And he said Manny just runs, does his old school strength and conditioning with Justin Fortune. He works out hard, gets his proper rest, and trains. And that's about it.
Yep. And he's blessed with an inner something that the great ones have, that what pushed Jordan to the limit, what pushes LeBron. Their work ethic and their workouts are just a little more. Kobe had it, at one time. Mm-hmm. So it's amazing. Like you said, he runs, does a little of this, the ladder thing or whatever with Justin Fortune, comes, has a good breakfast. And when he hits the gym with Freddie, it's 2.5 hours of just work, hard work, and the sit-up routine and everything. But it's no special crazy condition like when you hire those strength and condition guys and they have you doing all this, new wave, new age stuff. It's old school boxing, and plain and simple. And George Kambosos can testify. He's been there. He's ran with Manny. He's done the same workouts. He's done the sit-ups. He's done the same food. So he's a perfect example. And Paul Malignaggi would have been in camp one time, 1 week, 2 weeks. He would have said, holy smokes, this is all this man does? Wow. And if he would have tried it, maybe he'd still be fighting today.
And those calves.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. So there is something that he has physically that obviously most people don't have. I mean, we've never seen somebody, start off as a power puncher as low as he had in terms of weight, and then win a title at 154, hurt De La Hoya at 154 with body shots. What do you think it is that physically Manny possesses that that somebody, if you told them, look at this part of him, this is what makes him different? Because I'm going to tell you something else. Watching the Thurman fight, Pacquiao got hit with some good shots.
He did.
And why is it that a guy who started off winning titles at 105 and as low as that weight can take a shot from a 147-pounder that flush, and he takes his shots better than Thurman took his? So what is it? Is there something that you see physically that makes him different?
Well, there's a couple things. First thing is his foundation. The guy's calves and legs are tremendous, and that's part of his whole fighting ability. If you notice, is how he can dart in and out, how he can move. He works the legs like a maniac, because that's what brings everything else. That's what brings all the upper body movement. His chin is a testament to your condition. He's phenomenally conditioned. Now, you got to understand, he started at 6', 112, 23 years ago. Natural progression. He's been now at 140/47 for over 10, 11 years. So it's not a weird thing. The man has been at that weight for many, many years. His last real knockout, I believe, was Ricky Hatton, where he he served some guys, rocked some guys. But at 147, the last guy I believe he stopped was Cotto. Well, Cotto and then Lucas Matisse. So it's not that he's a big power puncher anymore. It's sharp, it's fast, and you don't see it. That's the key. If you look at the punch that hit Thurman, it was a jab, and he came from this angle that Thurman never saw the punch. Watch Miguel Cotto. So it's not as much as the power. She does have heavy hands, but the speed, the power, and the angles it comes from. What are the punches that hurt you? The ones you don't see.
I always told you.
That's the key to all of it together.
Yeah, and I told you that during the 250-plus rounds that George sparred, I said, tell me, what is it about Manny? And he said, sometimes I would think he has three hands. He said he would get hit. He would get hit.
Thurman thought that too.
Yeah. Well, Thurman's face looked like it.
That reminds me of a scene in a favorite movie of mine, Uptown Saturday Night, where like Sidney Poitier and they go and fight this guy named Little Seymour, and they say, "What did he hit you with, his foot or his hand?" He said, "Both of them."
Well, that's pretty much the senator. It's funny, in sparring sometimes he'll reach out and do like the claw punch. He'll hit a guy with both, and just his whole attitude is phenomenal. His work ethic, and come out of the gym and do interviews, greet people 70, 80 a night, hold Bible study, hold all of a sudden a random karaoke thing for 5 hours singing. I don't know how to explain it. He's from a different breed, just cut from a different cloth and wired. I mean, the energy level is phenomenal, and I can't explain. Just over the years, it must be the work ethic, how he lives. He lives a lifestyle. I haven't seen this guy put a piece of chocolate in his mouth ever. Everything that's served is there for him by his cooks. If it's in the Philippines, if it's leading up to the fight, he has two chefs that have been with him for 10 or 12 years. And it's just great rice, great fish, great chicken. And it's really just a testament all year. Like after this fight's over now, and this is what I didn't know about him. He explained this to me about a year ago. He will not pick up a glove. He will not go to a gym. He won't even really think boxing. Nothing to do with boxing. He goes back to first of all, his passion, basketball. And he plays that like a maniac. There's days I've seen him play 4 hours, back and forth games. Maybe not running as hard up and down the court the last hour or two, but basketball, I really believe, like Roy Jones did and other athletes, I think that kind of condition when you're out of boxing keeps you great. And when he comes back to fight, he's excited. He hasn't put on a glove in 2-3 months. His body's healed. Everything's good. So it's just a combination of lifestyle, year-round, weight never goes too heavy. And that's what his longevity has a lot to do with.
Yeah. So speaking of longevity, and I think we covered, so let's close the drug testing out like this, just for factual information. Did Manny Pacquiao get drug tested before and after the Thurman fight?
Okay. Leading up to the fight, he was tested numerous times, urine testing. In the dressing room before the fight, he was tested. Right after the fight, he was tested again. So everything that was asked him, all the tests, he was there, he was ready, he did them. So yes, answer your question, tested many times leading to the fight.
So we could put that to rest. Manny Pacquiao performed a full drug test protocol before and after the fight. So that's factual.
Administered by VADA drug testing people for the Nevada State Athletic Commission. So we'll put it to rest. VADA was involved. They just weren't the lead. So, and I don't know what the difference is. Personally, I have no idea. Nevada and VADA, what are you going to, they test for the same things, the same type of drugs, the same type of steroids, the same kind of performance-enhancing drugs. So
right.
The only difference I could see is it wasn't done by Margaret herself. And there's been this ego thing between Margaret and the commission. I don't know if she got fired or she quit or whatever, but she was kind of pushed out of the Nevada State Athletic Commission years ago with Dr. Skip Homansky. They got to a point in the commission where they thought they were bulletproof. I mean, I would see fights where they were both just up there, out of control, whatever. They started like they were running things, and I think they got forced out. So there's this little jealousy, I believe, between her and the Nevada State Athletic Commission. So when they were hiring her, deep down she had to show that, hey, it's not VADA me, it's Nevada, but it's my VADA doing the collection. So I'm not sure how all that worked, and I'd love to hear that from her sometime. I'd love to see her come on your show.
Well, we'll ask her some questions. I'll reach out to her. I'm going to send her an email and see if she'll kind of clear this up so that we can maybe add it to this story. So I'll let Brian get into the next topic, speaking of longevity, and I think he knows where I'm going with this because he wrote a story yesterday about this topic, and it has to do with Manny's future.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me, I guess want to ask you, if you had to gauge on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being very likely and 1 being like almost no chance, what are the chances that we're going to see Mayweather Pacquiao rematch?
I kind of knew where you were headed with that question. Like Manny's said over the last year when he's asked this question, I'm an active fighter. I'm fighting regularly. Floyd is retired. Floyd's pretty much come out on numerous occasions and said he's enjoying his retirement. And recently, after the fight, he pretty much went off the reservation. He came out with some Instagram posts that I'm not even really sure, because we don't call out Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather is a friend of mine. If Floyd Mayweather decided he wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao, the reason that Manny signed with Al Heyman is because of Floyd Mayweather works with Heyman. And also, it was the absolute best deal for Manny Pacquiao. So to answer your question simply, we came and set the table. Manny sat down, Al's sitting here. If Floyd ever wants to join the table, the fight can be put together in 2 seconds. I can't gauge it even 1 to 10 because I just leave it up to Floyd. And I ask myself, if I was Floyd Mayweather, that what I just saw in the ring Saturday night, he was in the ring, but he looked like he exited pretty quick. So
it's funny you said that, because when I saw you in the ring, standing behind Manny, the decision had just been announced, and you were looking over and you were like, come here. I don't know who you were talking to, but in my mind, I'm thinking, is he talking to Floyd? Is Floyd about to come over? Are they about to make an announcement? I was thinking that, and I was like, nah, it didn't happen though.
I wish. I think I was yelling to my wife.
Okay.
So,
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, that's the best one to yell, come here. I was better than yelling for Floyd at that moment. But, I did have a couple weeks. Me and Floyd joked a little while he was in the ring before the fight. But Floyd, I said this before, if I was sitting at a poker table, the World Series of Poker at the final table, I want Floyd. I want my money on Floyd, because you don't know if he sold him 4 aces or 4 twos, man. Yeah. He's made a brilliant career out of picking and choosing at the right time. Yes. And like I said, I'm not mad at him, but I believe Senator Manny Pacquiao's legacy is 1,000% better because he's never cherry picked. All I ever, like in the last year, if I said, Manny, you're going to fight July 13th, he'd be like, well, who am I fighting? Keith Thurman. And I'm not joking. His answer was, who's Keith Thurman? At the time, he didn't know until I refreshed him, because Keith had been out of the ring 22 months. Mm-hmm. So he's like, oh, wow, this is great. 29-0, 22. Then he gets into it. He loved the challenge. He wouldn't have fought. If we didn't have Keith Thurman, maybe he doesn't get ready as much as he did for the fight, because Keith really motivated and put on a show, because he knew the record, his age, everybody questioning everything. So to answer your original question, only Floyd knows, and that's you can never press Floyd for it. You can never ask him for it. But we set the table by going with Al Heyman. So if Floyd Mayweather wants to stop all this chatter, all this legacy talk, all these things going on, it's there for him. If it never happens.
I mean, Sean, he's engaging. He's engaging in the back and forth on social media. So,
which is more than he was doing before.
Right. And knowing how Floyd has operated in the past, he's putting the conversation out there, maybe seeing how it's received. He's doing what Floyd does. He's excellent at creating the interest. He's excellent at being polarizing in that regard. And from what I hear, just saying, from the people we know, from what I hear is he's been training. I hear that he's been in the gym training hard. And so I think that, I think Manny did the legwork.
But how do we know that he's not training for attention, Nashikawa?
Well, but let me go down this path. But let me go down this path. So, and this is the argument I'll make. Okay, if you take the controversial Jeff Horn loss out of the equation, you go Tim Bradley 3, you go Jesse Vargas, forget about Horn. Okay, you go right into Matisse, Broner, Thurman. I mean, you could arguably say Manny hasn't lost since Floyd. And he's done the legwork. He helped build this narrative. Manny's very much in the mix after beating Matisse, after beating Vargas, Matisse, Broner, Thurman. I mean, come on. He's very much in the mix. If Floyd wanted to jump in now and say, okay, this is sellable.
Correct. I believe so. And what's funny is Floyd's last Instagram post was basically, Bob Arum's not your promoter anymore. I signed you. I'm PBC. I'm the boss. I came here to supervise. You're my employee. Well, that's all cool then. So Floyd, you got a promoter's license. Send us a contract. Put your name on it. Whatever. If you're the boss, we're your employee. Please hook us up. We're ready to rumble. But that was all. I don't know. That's all jokingly, but. Like I said, back to it, you can't, Floyd's going to do it. Floyd will see something that he wants or something will happen or whatever. But at the end of the day, again, Manny's a regular fighter. He's going to look at Danny Garcia. He's going to look at Mikey Garcia.
That's what I was going to ask him.
He's going to look at all possible guys because at this point in his career, I hear him talk about Earl Spence. It's like Manny was 30 years old. Okay, great. Earl Spence, Crawford, everybody, bring them all on. But he's achieved a level that I don't see the fans hollering for fights like this. I see them wanting him to be in an entertaining fight. They want something that they feel, at least if you sit down, it's a 60-40, 70-30, something that's competitive. You want something that gets you excited. And at the end of the day, I hear more people, hey, why don't you fight Danny Garcia, Mikey Garcia? Don't do Earl Spence. They don't want to see Manny. That's like, what is really being trying to build by fighting Earl Spence? I mean, that's like the old days when you had the young lion and you brought the guy that was kind of at the end and you're trying to, like Bob did this all the time. He would pass the torch to the next guy or whatever. Manny doesn't have to pass the torch. Manny can finish out his career fighting stuff that the fans want to see because Manny himself is what they tune into. And even in the Broner fight, doing over 400,000 homes, this one could do between 600,000 and 700,000. That's a statement. Terrence Crawford, I don't even think he had 100,000 homes. Earl Spence and Mikey together, they did well. They did about 380. But the point is, he's going to do the numbers because they're tuning in for Manny Pacquiao. If it's, let's say, Spence, if it's Garcia, whoever. And he's earned the right to not be called out. He's the one finishing the career, whatever way he finishes out, giving back to the people because he's never turned a fight down. And he's always giving it his all. If he got knocked out, he came back. He's just there. He's a people's champ, really.
Yeah, the Spence fight, and I've gone on record with this and wrote this up. It's just not a fight that I think for a future Hall of Famer, 8-division world champion, going to be 41 years old in December. Fighting is fighting. It's a sport, But when you have a legend, and I'm literally parroting what I've said in articles, you have a legend that's coming to the end of their careers. I would prefer not to see them in the ring with big, physical, young guys like that who can somewhat dim the end of their career. And, so I definitely would concur with that concept. It's just, I think Floyd is actually doing the same thing. He's doing the same thing. And I think that Manny has earned the right to be choosy as well, because he has fought whoever his whole career.
Yep.
So,
well, look at this. The guy he just fought, a guy 2 years ago, was unified welterweight champion of the world, who was a beast. That man came in unbelievably physical condition to do what he did, take the shots, give shots back, 29-0, 22 KOs. That risk Manny took there was incredible on itself. It's as big, if not as bigger than a Spence fight. That guy was big. He was strong. He tried to do a little Jeff Horn, but in a much better boxing sense. He used his weight at times. He pushed Manny around. So Manny he stepped out of the comfort zone. That wasn't Andre Berto. That wasn't Adrian Broner. That wasn't Lucas Batiste. That man was, like you said, 22, 26 months ago, was the top of the welterweight division before Crawford, before Spence. So coming back off some injuries, shook the rust off against Josecito. That was maybe 90% of the best version of the Keith Thurman, because he couldn't have took those punches and fought like he fought. So Manny just proved and showed everybody at 40 years old, taking on arguably maybe the third best. Maybe he would have beat Smith. Maybe he would have beat Crawford. So maybe he's already
beaten Porter.
Right, he beat Porter and he beat Garcia. So arguably, you got to say he's either 1, 2, or 3 on the food chain.
Right. Yeah,
so
no Lord in 30. Yeah, no Lord in 30.
I mean, so he proved what he had to prove. So at this point, you're going to sit back for a minute. We'll talk to Al Heyman. We'll look at all the variables. But I don't feel the passion like the fans want to see Mayweather. They don't want to see Errol Spence. They want to see Mayweather. If they don't give Mayweather, then we have to figure out what the next step. Maybe Manny does another fight against Danny Garcia or Mikey, and then all of a sudden Floyd says, you know what? Because the same thing's going to be there. Floyd can say what he wants. We don't follow Floyd Mayweather around. His name gets drug into the conversation by the fans, by the media, by the people. Manny doesn't drag it in, so he needs to stop with legacies, and Manny's name's been built off of him. Manny Pacquiao had a legacy way before Floyd Mayweather, I think, even turned pro.
Sean, you and I talked about this earlier today. Off video, and I said it clearly. And Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather can never match up to Manny Pacquiao's legacy. If money and an undefeated record with a questionable win over Castillo, right?
Yeah, Castillo is the only fight I've ever watched the Mayweather that I scored for the other guy.
Right, but yeah, from a legacy, if money and a 50-0 record is the criteria in which Floyd is judging legacy, he's falling short. Yeah, Floyd's one of the best ever, not the best ever, one of the best ever. And Manny's 8 division, 24 world title fights. What he does outside the ring as a humanitarian, the way that he respects and treats his opponents, the way that he treats the media, it's a full package. Your legacy is not just judged on your bank account and your record.
Well, I do think that Manny needs to beat Floyd to definitively have a better legacy. I do think that, because they have the head-to-head meeting. I do think that. Yeah,
but Brian,
just being honest, I do think that.
But here's the thing: if they had that head-to-head, did they have that? Look, they had that head-to-head meeting. They did, but they didn't have it at 112. They didn't have it at 115, 118, 122, or 126. They had it at 47. They had it at Manny's 8th or 7th weight class. You know what I'm saying? Not his 3rd or 4th. I think when you look at all things considered, it's about timing, when they fought, where Manny was in his, hunt for more divisions. And sure, this is the other thing. And I'm not a homer. I'm not, when it comes to picking and looking at things, I look at it very subjectively. And, Floyd won the fight. I am inclined, because I know Manny's character, I'm inclined to believe that his shoulder was injured. I know all guys fight to a degree of injured, but I do think a second fight is warranted. And I do think, I think I don't care if it's at 43 and 41, because we can make the argument that Floyd avoided Manny for the 4 years prior when they should have fought.
I agree 100% with that statement, that he waited till Manny was at a certain point in his career. He had all the excuses. Oh, he won't do the drug test, he won't do this, won't do that, and waited to the exact right point again that he felt it was ready to fight Manny. He did the same with Canelo. He picked him early. He made Canelo come in 2 pounds earlier. Canelo looked like he was just bone dry. Just at the time, he was brilliant at picking the timing. So, like you said, they're both tremendous athletes still at this age. If Floyd really feels the need to prove that the first one wasn't a fluke, a shoulder, whatever, it would take him maybe 4 months, if that, to really, really get sharp. But again, like you said, you hear he's working out, he's doing things. He's like Manny. Lifestyle. The guy walks around probably no more than 155 pounds.
Right.
He's just another genetically blessed individual.
Absolutely.
That no matter what he eats, he was eating Big Macs in camp.
He was eating Taco Bell and he is genetically different, because it's sticking on my back. It's gonna stick on my back, and he gets away with it. Yeah.
But Floyd is extremely disciplined.
Yes.
He's gifted. He's probably the best defensive fighter of his generation.
Pernell, but yeah, he's after Pernell. But Pernell's the best one.
Pernell or Floyd. Pernell was.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that it's not a knock on Floyd. I love watching Floyd Mayweather Jr. fight. I love watching him fight. I love, for me, not to really get off track here, but when he beat, my mind is going on me here. Help me out here.
Madonna,
no,
Canelo,
earlier Chico.
Diego Corrales.
When he beat, the way he beat Corrales.
Yeah,
that's
that's his best performance in my opinion.
But that's for me when I was like, Floyd Mayweather Jr. is head and shoulders above everybody else at that time. For me, that was a turning point for me as like far as kind of still gauging at that time. So I would love to see it. You're going back to the Philippines soon, Sean?
Yeah, I'll be leaving next Tuesday. Manny, unlike a lot of guys that say they have a promotional company, we actually do. We actually promote fighters. So we have a show August 24th with John Rio Casimiro, our WBO interim champion at 118 pounds. Then we have a fight September 7th with some smaller guys we promote, Sammy Salva for an IBF world title. We're doing another show October 6th. So we're promoting guys. I mean, we're changing the game in the Philippines. We're giving guys opportunity. We have Jack Tapora, who's fighting for the IBF world title eliminator #1. We have Marlon Tapales, who's #1 in the WBO for the 122-pound title. We got Edward Hino fighting for the WBO 108-pound title. And then we have about 6 or 7 guys. So the Senator, unlike a lot of guys, I love certain guys that, Lennox and Winky and, we all started a promotion company and no one ever really promoted. That's the difference with Manny. He's very much into it. We have Jerwin and Kajas, IBF champion. So we have a lot of things going, and then the Senator is back in session. So, you just have to be there because there's so many moving parts and things happening in the Philippines for our boxing. And then just taking care of Manny's day-to-day business, you need to be around because it's very difficult to work when you're 15 hours away in a separate continent than being right there to handle stuff.
So can you do a favor, please? Can you do Brian and me a favor?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the Senator to please make the Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao 2 fight? Could you just tell him, just for us, please get this show on the road?
Well, the good thing, the Senator is always available. He's a pretty easy guy. The other gentleman, you did throw a shout out to him. The ball.
We'll reach out.
Like,
we'll reach out to him.
Basketball. A basketball analogy. The ball is in his court.
Well, you know what we'll do?
Standing at the free throw line.
You know, we do. Look, we had you on the show, so what we're going to do is I'm going to reach out to Leonard Ellerby and get Leonard to come on.
Be great.
And then put you two on the undercard.
You know what? Me and Leonard would maybe do some sumo wrestling or a little wrestling or something. You know, but I like Leonard. I've known Leonard for, like I said, I had the pleasure of working with Floyd Mayweather when I was the matchmaker at Top Rank from 96 until around 2000. Well, yeah, when Mayweather left, whatever that was, 2000.
Right before the Margarito, around the Margarito thing.
I took him his very first world title defense. I took him personally to Grand Rapids as Top Rank's representative. Me, him, Leonard, all the boys went back because Bob had a fight going with Oscar De La Hoya and Ike Corte at the time. So I spent time with Mayweather then. Over the years, we've always had a great relationship. You know, you could see when we were in Japan together, my man Sean. So I respect Floyd, his decisions, his whatever he does. It's nothing where I would ever call him out. I just, like the fact that if it could happen, we set it up for him. We came over. We were here. We didn't come to Al Heyman. We didn't come to PBC with the fact that someone said, hey, sign with us and you can get Floyd Mayweather. That was not the intention ever. We came here because the best welterweights in the world were with Al Heyman. The guys we wanted to fight, the Broners, the Thurmans, the Garcias, all the champs were over here, the Porters. So that's why we were here. And if there was an opportunity for Floyd, then everybody was under the same umbrella. It'd take a whole 5 minutes probably for Al to sit Floyd at the table and sit Manny at the table, because that's how Al Heyman rolls. And that was the objective. If it doesn't happen, there's some great fights for the fans. And you've seen Manny, the Broner was a great fight in the sense if Broner would have been able to have a little more firepower. Keith had it. Danny will have it. Mikey will have it. So there's entertaining fights for the fans to still enjoy Manny Pacquiao. And that's what you're doing. When you go to a soccer game still, if Pele was at the end or Michael Jordan was at the end or Kobe was at the end, you went to the game to see him. You didn't care if he wasn't 110% like he was back in the day, but you get a chance to see someone that's in an era that guys are gone. You'll never see Morales, Barrera, Marquez, Hatton. But you're seeing a guy that went through an era like if you were looking at baseball or football. He's the last. He's it. He's it from that 90s, 2000, 2010, which is crazy to say. Since 2000, if you look at everybody that's retired, including the Hopkins, all of them, this guy's been around and retired. There's probably 25 Hall of Famers that have retired. He didn't fight them all. But it's amazing. I mean, that's, I can't.
Sean, we keep it real, and I told you this as well, which, our subscribers that let me tell you, some rabid Manny Pacquiao fans. They didn't like. Listen, and I told you this, Sean. I told you this a couple of days ago. They didn't like that we picked Keith Thurman in advance to win this fight. And I love Manny, and that I'm a big fan, right? And I was having a little bit of anxiety at thinking that maybe this could be the last Manny fight, right? I was like,
yeah. I remember your story. Your story. One of your stories was, if this was the last one in Vegas or something, I think you wrote it. We talked about it.
Yeah, and I wrote it. And look, you saw me live blogging for Forbes. You saw the shirt I was wearing.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'll be totally honest. I thought that he was going to get hurt. I'll just be honest. I thought, I did not want to see that.
But I'll tell you this, and this is why I picked it as a matchmaker. And I made thousands of fights. I made champions for the last 30 years. The way I broke it down was a sporting analogy about greatness. And I talked to Eric Morales about this. And I remember Eric Morales fighting Marcus Maidana. Eric was like a shell of himself. I mean, the guy had his eye closed in the first round. And arguably, he was in the fight up until the 9th or 10th round. And Eric doesn't train or do anything like Manny. Mm-hmm. But the great ones, even a little diminished, down at 80% of themselves. Keith Thurman is a sensational fighter for what he is, for his time, for being around Garcia, Porter, but he wasn't around Marquez, Barrera, Morales. So I knew going in, even if Manny wasn't 100% of himself, I just felt always that he had enough experience, big fight experience, and firepower, because I didn't see anything in the gym, and I saw nothing with Broner that showed me that he didn't still have his hand speed and getting off. If I saw something where he wasn't getting off, I would have been really hesitant to make a fight like that. But I felt everything added up. And you know what? We took a huge gamble. People say, how much you bet? We bet his whole career. We bet his life, like you said. I mean, Keith Thurman dropped a few bombs at times. I'm not going to lie. 7, 8, or 6, 7, or 7, 8, 9. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but he changed it with the body shot. I started
questioning myself, like, did I maybe didn't see exactly what I, because as a man, you look at things and they're a little different in person. Keith Thurman can box, man. That man, if you don't have timing like Manny has too, and the feet and the positioning, Keith is a difficult style. I mean, very difficult. So that said, I wasn't ever concerned with getting hurt. I was just more concerned with if he gets old overnight or something goes wrong or whatever. Because you got to look at the history of boxing. 40 years old, nobody's want to fight at the welterweight division ever with fighting a young, and I'm going to say a young lion. So the 2 years he was out, 28 to 30. It wasn't like 30 to 37. The man was a 30-year-old in tremendous shape, hired
his prime.
Condition.
Keith's in his prime.
Yeah. He's in his prime, exactly. A 40-year-old guy beat a prime welterweight and a big welterweight, not a small guy, an athletic welterweight. So going in, if I ever thought that we didn't have a chance just a little, I'm not sure I would have made that match. I would have tried to wiggle our way into something else, you know.
So I got a question, and it's about Keith Thurman. Do you think that Keith Thurman is as hungry now as he was in 2016, 17, 2015?
I think Keith Thurman was hungrier. He's fighting Manny Pacquiao. He's fighting a legend. I'm not sure even the fights. I know for sure with Josecito when he said I trained at the 24/7 Fitness. I believe it. I mean, it looked like it.
Yeah.
This Keith Thurman that fought Manny would have destroyed Josecito. Would have put a lesson on him, boxed the crap out of him, rained down punches. Even when he was at his peak with Guerrero, with Porter, with Garcia, I think he was. I think he was hungry with it, but I think he's a better fighter now. This is going to make him a better fighter. He's top 4 in the welterweights in the world. To me, it's Spence, it's Crawford, it's Thurman and Manny, all 4. Throw something up. So I think his stock went up with this fight. He talked the talk. He was very humble after. Like, that's what I love about boxing. Unlike UFC, where they're both jabbering away like maniacs, and then a brawl breaks out after the fight with a hatred. There was things said that went a little far, but everybody understood it was a little promotion too, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to retire you. You got T-Rex arms. After, both guys were very humble. Keith said something about the lesson.
Lessons and blessings.
It was whatever the 2 words.
Lessons and blessings.
Lessons and blessings. Absolutely. And Manny complimented him and everything. And that's what people love about our sport, because you can get nasty with the promotion some, but you don't go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and start flying into an octagon and people throwing bottles and people. There's promotion, and then there's crossing the line and getting stupid. And that's why they love our sport. That's why our sport will always be bigger than UFC.
Sean, it was a great fight, and we both, Brian and I both scored it for Manny Pacquiao in our I did the live blog, and Brian scored it as well, and he did a results
exact same.
Exact same thing.
We had the exact same score.
We had 114, 113.
What did you guys end up having?
114, 113
for Manny. We just gave one more close round to Keith. That's all. I mean, we gave one more round.
Exactly what you said was exactly how I saw it. You said around 6, 7, 8, 9, you were getting a little nervous, but the body shot in 10 changed the entire fight, because Thurman was eating up.
Even if he lost the 11th, he still got the 12. Swung out. But there was still a presence about Manny that you never said, even with a couple of them huge shots. You never said, wow, he looks like he's
in trouble.
In trouble. It was like he knew to step off the gas a little, and then he had that what all the great ones have, man. They just pull it out of wherever they get it, they pull it out.
I told you this maybe the day after the fight. Mathematically, Sean, if Manny didn't get the knockdown in round 1, it would have been a draw. Based on the way based on the way the rest of the fight played out, it would have been a draw.
It would have been a majority draw.
A lot of people bummed in Vegas.
Listen, it would have been money down. It would have been a majority draw with the one card in Keith's favor.
Yep.
If they gave him the
that would've
first
been-
round, it would have been a majority draw in key with the one. And by the way, the draw was at plus 1,600. And so that was lower than normal. Normal is plus 2,200, plus 2,000. So this was close.
Right.
It was an excellent fight. And Manny was phenomenal.
Yeah, well, like I told you, I read in the paper, a lot of money came in on the draw. A lot of people. Because Vegas, Vegas is notorious. I don't know if it's Vegas, California, New York, but it seems like it rears its head up a little more in Vegas. And I hate when I hear people go, well, 2 out of the 3 judges had a good night or this. No, everybody gets – this is millions of people money's coming in, betting. It's not a place for one guy to have a bad night and 2 guys correct it. No, everybody's supposed to be spot on. That's how it's supposed to work on the major fights.
Especially in Mexico, Sean.
You have good experience. You understand. You understand there's politics, I guess. But the funny thing, when I look, and people ask me, how could Glenn Feldman score it? I have the most respect for Glenn Feldman of anybody that ever judges fights in the world. We were with Glenn in Malaysia. Glenn did the Broner fight. Glenn, I looked through his record in my research, and I don't see even one fight that I say, wow, how could he do that? Well, now I do. But leading up to it, you know what I'm saying? Now that I do. Now there's that one. But going into it, so I say to myself, I've sat and watched fights. You probably sit on the side, and you sat somewhere. And I've sat with buddies of mine that, for whatever reason, they see things differently. Maybe they like some kind of aggression. Maybe they saw something. So I just got to believe, for whatever reason, Glenn saw what he saw. There's no like the back room in the old days, some guy walking in with the envelope or some guy, named Guido going, hey, we like so-and-so tonight. I just think it happens. I watched an article one time from Adelaide Burke, and she's talking about just because a guy is aggressive doesn't mean he's winning rounds. And to me, in my mind, I'm like, okay, Triple G is an ultimate aggressive guy, and Canelo's a counterpuncher. Because if there's not some funny business going on, it just has to be someone has a certain like, or they're inept, or it's like the Mayweather-Canelo fight. The woman, Cindy Barton, I think her name is, insanity. 6 rounds. I mean, Mayweather, I think, he was being nice. He took a round off, maybe.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 rounds at the most, Canelo won.
But you've got to say to her, Cindy, please sit down together with me. Explain to me. Break it down to me. It can't happen.
So, Sean, after that,
so you're like,
after the Canelo Triple G rematch, not the draw, the rematch, I wrote a story how I feel boxing needs to revisit the way that it judges, the way that it scores fights. Because there's too many, listen, and this is a whole other topic, and this is great. We get time with you to talk about this stuff. But look, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, fight wasn't a draw. I love Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury won that fight.
Yes, he did.
Correct. And if it wasn't for the 12th round.
The two knockdowns helped dramatically.
Yeah, but I mean, you can make the argument that those are the only rounds that Wilder won.
Right.
I agree. He was getting thoroughly outboxed on the whole thing. And it makes you wonder, like Alejandro Rochin, like I said, I have more respect for Feldman. I don't know. I really don't. All you try to do as a manager or a matchmaker, and you're the same, Peter, is you try to really read between the lines.
Right.
When you go to do a fight, who's judging? And again, I'm going to tell you, I would have went to Glenn Feldman. I would have anything for Glenn Feldman. I would have said if someone tried to throw him out, no. Glenn, I've talked to all the organizations. I've talked to my friends, like the Carl Moretti's, all the guys that are in the game that do fights, the big fights. And everybody will tell you. You can't argue. You can't. What am I going to say? I just don't like Glenn Feldman? No. Right. And then when that happens, I can't explain it. I just can't,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll make an instance real quick. I watched the Donny Nietes and Ashton Paleke fight. Mm-hmm. I was sitting on the side of the corner of Paleke with Abel Sanchez, Michael Almaguer, and someone else. We watched the fight 10-2. Robert Hoyle is sitting on the other side of the ring. Oh, no, excuse me. Robert Hoyle is sitting on the exact same side as us. We're watching the same fight. Robert Hoyle somehow has the fight directly the opposite score for Paleke. So I'm in Hoyle's case, I'm like, Rob, I mean, Abel, who has no one, you know, favored in the game. He's just watching the fight as a fan, and how he comes up. You know, that's why commissions want to have to pull these people in and sit them down and ask these hard questions. And if they don't have answers, or if they have the wrong answers, they got to sit them down. They got to start them back. Say, hey, champ, you need to work your way back up in the 4s, the 6s, the 8s.
Right.
We're going to have to take a little while.
Just because you've worked, you know, 50 world title fights doesn't mean you should get special treatment to work another one. You know, so I think there definitely has to be criteria. But Sean, look, we've taken up enough of your time. We really greatly appreciate coming on and talking about Manny Pacquiao and the drug testing and confirming that he was tested before and after, and that he has always been enrolled in the WBC and clean boxing program, which is administered by VADA. So we appreciate that. And then we appreciate you shedding some light on possibly what's next for Manny and whether a Floyd Mayweather 2, you know, fight is in the cards. So, you know, once again, thank you for joining the Fight Guys. On behalf of Brian and myself, we'd love to have you on again. Thank you, and good luck to you, and congratulations on all of your success.
Yep, appreciate it, and thank you. And again, thanks for all the coverage. As always, the stories are great. You guys cover a lot of different things on both sides for both fighters, and the fans should definitely, you know, if you get a chance, you're online, whatever, Google Forbes, because some of the best stories that came out were from you guys on this fight. So thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean.
Woo!